Hello, I'm Inash Ravinsky and you're watching Break the Fake. They make them, we break them, and tell you everything you need to know. It seems that something is finally stirring in Russia's backyard. After years of societal apathy and unquestioning obedience to the Grand Maestro Putin, the Abkhazians have decided to throw a wrench into the well-oiled machine of Russian complacency. Let's not forget that Putin wrestled Abkhazia away from Georgia back in 2007, adding another shiny trophy to his collection of territories acquired through sheer force. But it appears that Russia might be experiencing a bit of indigestion from swallowing that particular morsel. In Abkhazia, protests have erupted over the arrest of opposition members. Apparently, 8 people were detained for having the audacity to oppose the ratification of an investment agreement between Abkhazia and Russia signed in October. The Abkhazian opposition is understandably concerned that this deal might lead to an oligarchic expansion. Imagine that, a small region not wanting to be steamrolled by Russian oligarchs. Who would have thought? The detained individuals were whisked away to the nearest state security offices, which naturally prompted dozens of people to show up and express their displeasure. A scuffle with the police ensued, and someone even took the initiative to ram the gates of the building with a car. 6 more people were detained because nothing says, "Yeah, we hear you," like adding more names to the arrest list. Not to be deterred, protesters later gathered at Freedom Square in Sukhumi and blocked the Gumista Bridge, demanding the release of the detainees. In a predictable move, military equipment was later seen heading towards the presidential administration building of the partially recognized Abkhazia. Because, when in doubt, roll out the tanks. That's the Russian way, isn't it? It is almost poetic how the very regions Putin liberated are now pushing back against this overbearing influence. Perhaps the Kremlin didn't anticipate that their heavy-handed approach might not be universally appreciated. Or maybe they just assumed that everyone would be thrilled to be part of their grand imperialist vision. After all, who wouldn't want to be a pawn in Russia's geopolitical chess game? One can't help but wonder how Putin feels about this slight hiccup in his master plan. Maybe it's time for a new strategy, perhaps one that doesn't involve suppressing dissent and flexing military muscle at every opportunity. But then again, old habits die hard, I guess. In the meantime, we'll be watching this to see how this bout of indigestion plays out for Russia. Pass for popcorn. The irony knows no bounds. Russian propagandists are mocking foreign ambassadors, their disdain for diplomacy and international relations on full display. It's as if courtesy and respect have no place in their playbook. Putin staged a spectacle reminiscent of a feudal lord demanding fealty, with each ambassador made to traverse an almost marathon-like distance only to be greeted by the self-proclaimed leader and son of the world. The whole charade is nothing short of a complete embarrassment.
Глядя на канатку, становилось понятно, что весь бюджет, выделенный на стилистов, Жастин Трудо потратил на себя. Насчет салатика и скандала было неизвестно, но шляпку посол Мьянмы точно мог сделать буквально из ничего. Наряд представителя Буркина-Фасо намекал, что все черные полосы в жизни заканчиваются в Москве. Для своего костюма послу Новой Зеландии пришлось ощипать всех кур на даче. Белорус размышлял, что посол Белоруссии в России – это как архивариус в коворкинге. Звучит красиво, а чем заниматься непонятно. Все дипломатические надежды бельгийца были связаны с тем, что название его страны начинается с тех же букв, что и Белоруссия. И совсем чуть-чуть с типично бельгийской фамилией Жеребцов. Судя по длине юбки итальянки, дипломатический иммунитет ее явно тяготил и мешал личной жизни. Ирландец походил на грустного лепрекона, от которого начальнику не надо ни исполнения желаний, ни горшочка с золотом. Кениец выглядел как человек, у которого и крокодил регулярно ловится, и урожай кокоса в этом году был на удивление выдающимся. Финка в окружении мужчин чувствовала, как ее европейские ценности меняются на традиционные. Зная, что начальник отлично поймет намек, посол Эфиопии написал верительную грамоту в стихах, а на полях сделал несколько рисунков. Нигериец, прочитав, что в Москве стоят морозы в +2, надел простыню с начесом. Армянин шел походкой человека, способного пожарить шашлык, пока догорит спичка. От азербайджанца приятно пахло спелым гранатом и свежей нефтью. Посол Нидерландов походила на нелюбимую бабушку генсека НАТО, которую пристроили на работу в Россию.
Adding another layer to this theater of absurdity, Putin cynically declared that a number of Western states have taken a hostile course to escalate and prolong the Ukrainian conflict. This from the very person who ignited the war, perpetuates it every single day, and holds the power to halt it at any moment. The audacity here is staggering. He's effectively mocking the entire world, projecting his own actions onto others, while expecting everyone else to play along with the whole facade.
Взятый рядом западных государств, по сути, враждебный курс на эскалацию и затягивание украинского конфликта, имея в виду нанести нашей стране стратегическое поражение, глубоко ошибочно. Такие иллюзорные расчеты могут строить только те, кто не знает или не хочет знать историю России, не принимает во внимание единство, силу духа и сплоченность российского народа.
So apart from rather questionable humor, this whole event was a masterclass in hypocrisy. Chastising others for fanning the flames that Putin himself ignited. The global community watches as he attempts to rewrite reality, but no amount of grandstanding can obscure the truth of who started this conflict and who continues to fuel it. But then again, maybe they thought if they threw around a few questionable jokes, perhaps we might forget about it. Well, we clearly didn't. The Russian government strikes again, proving that no good deed goes unpunished, especially when it comes to defying the motherland. Remember the daring Russian pilot Maxim Kuzminov, who commandeered his Mi-8 helicopter and heroically delivered it straight into Ukrainian hands? A bold move that surely earned him a top spot on Moscow's most unpopular list. After his courageous act, he sought refuge in Spain, perhaps thinking he had left the long arm of the Kremlin behind. Well, unfortunately, this was not so. Lo and behold, even the sunny shores of Spain aren't safe from Moscow's reach. Reports suggest that Kuzminov was brutally murdered, allegedly by none other than former Russian security operatives. It appears that retirement in Russia isn't about gardening and grandchildren, it's about international espionage and settling old scores. Why am I saying this? Well, let me explain. Investigative journalists have identified two prime suspects, including a spry 74-year-old ex-KGB officer and his relative, a police lieutenant colonel. Now, family bonding this, Kremlin style. Perhaps it is time to applaud Russia's commitment to recycling. After all, they are repurposing retired officials or intelligence operatives for international missions. Who needs fresh talent when you can have a pool of seasoned operatives, to say the least, eager for one last adventure? It is sustainability, but with a sinister twist. Now, in the grand theater of global politics, Russia continues to play the role of the aggrieved victim, while orchestrating acts that undermine any pretense of innocence. Maybe if they invested half as much energy into constructive diplomacy as they do into hunting down defectors, they might, just might, find themselves less isolated on the world stage. But that's the Kremlin to you. A regime that never misses an opportunity to remind us of its priorities. While the world moves forward, they are stuck replaying Cold War classics, complete with spies, betrayals, and a disregard for international norms. A crossover between John Wick and Goodbye Lenin that literally nobody ever wanted. And with this, we conclude this episode of Break the Fake. Stay with us here on TVP World for more latest news and updates.